was it you, Prisca, raising the issue about COVID and the number of deaths? I mean, even that is so complex and so confusing, and working out what is. I mean, a lot of it must be cultural. I mean, particularly in the Asian population, because Asian culture is so much, people are living so much closer together than us offhand whites do.
Yeah.
That we tend to live more arm's length from people anyway, but the Asian community tend to be much more fat together.
Yeah,
so
quite close.
That must be having an impact, mustn't it, on infection rates and all the rest. But
yeah.
The whole thing is. So, I mean, the whole thing with everything with coronavirus is impossible to really know what's going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is very strange. It's fascinating hearing you talk, Lwanga, about your experiences at school. Yeah, because my impression from my kids would have been that had pretty much disappeared compared with my experiences 40 years ago.
Yeah, and maybe within the last 10 years since I've, been in school, things are better, and I hope so. I hope that that's the case. But I just remember, for years just thinking you just have to take it, because I was told that it's not something that you say, or, even when people say things that are obviously racist, but you kind of just take it, because saying that somebody is being racist or accusing somebody of that is such a big thing. So and then I think as well, like when we moved to the UK, like we were never really prepped, of like, we never really expected that being Black would be something that people would kind of find as an issue. Yeah. I'm trying to find the words. Yeah. And you don't, because I think maybe, Prisca, you'd find that this is the same experience for you. But like in Zambia, like everybody is just you just kind of welcome everybody, and especially like I'm frozen. For white people as well, like they're held in such high esteem because so like we were never really exposed to or ever taught that things like that could happen until we came here. And I think we quickly had to unlearn some of the assumptions that we had about life in the UK as Black people, and life in the UK as Black Christians as well. I think one like major thing that I quickly had to unlearn was my assumption that everybody in school was a Christian. Yeah. And like I think from day one, day two, I was known as the Jesus girl, because I just kept asking where, which church do you go to? Like, can I come to your Sunday school and all this and that? So yeah, just things like that, having to kind of like, oh, okay, so we need to kind of learn how to almost
tone
like survive. Yeah.
So when I came for my GCSEs, because I was at American International in South Africa, and my mum was like, I'll come and do your GCSEs. We came for a term and I couldn't hack it. People were touching me because they'd never seen a Black person. They're like, what color are you? If I cut, like, what color blood do you bleed? Do you live in mud house? I just couldn't hack it.
Yeah.
So I was like to my mum, please take me back. So I only lasted about less than a term at King's in Canterbury.
Yeah.
That can cut the other way. So I know when Georgie, my daughter, was about 10, I think I took her to Zimbabwe, and she had it the other way, because if we went out to a more rural area where there weren't so many white people, and all the Black kids were wanting to stroke her and touch her hair, and so it's just what happens when somebody's different, isn't it? And I think in terms of some of the, certainly with kids will always pick up on difference and be cruel. Children are incredibly cruel. And some of it's just ignorance. So another childhood memory of mine from primary school is that a kid from America came to our school for a while, and I was saying, "Speak American." He said, "I am speaking. I speak American." I somehow, as a 7-year-old English kid, I thought he's from a different country. He must speak a different language. Like, Americans speak English too, kind of.
And it's okay for kids to kind of like be curious. I think, like, kids are. I think children are amazing how they tend to kind of just embrace, differences, and they're curious and they want to touch your skin, they want to touch your hair. Like I I completely don't mind that. Like, I love that children are so inquisitive, and they're more willing actually to approach somebody who's different than an adult.
Yeah.
I think the issue becomes when children start to learn, negative, or start to learn negative views of people who are different. And I think that's from adults, really. Because as children, we're all just very inquisitive. We want to learn, and we want to kind of touch everything that's different. But when it comes, the curiosity is negative, and you hear negative comments about people who are different. I think children have sadly kind of learned that from somebody else. So I think the environment that they're brought up in is quite a big thing as well.
Yeah.
I know you used the words like clever, didn't you, Lwanga? In that I
don't know if that was the right word to use.
I know what you mean, though. I think we have become really sly with it, and I don't think it's quite as overt like Matt remembers. So when you say has it changed, I think it hasn't got any better. I think it's got worse, but it's almost like morphed into a thing we hide, but then it ekes out certain things. So you go to a football match, and it comes out.
Yeah.
Go to a protest, and it comes out. And people are just like, "Oh, go back to Africa," and you're like, "Where's that come from?" But they would never say anything any other time.
I was telling you this.
Chants are ridiculous. Like when you hear some of the football chants from
they're horrible.
On their lap.
But at the same time, white crowds are cheering black players, aren't they? I mean, football is such a hostile environment.
Yeah.
But I think I'd want to. I think there are positives. So I was reading some stats the other day about changing attitudes towards mixed race marriages, and that has changed dramatically in terms of parents. Would you be happy for your child to marry somebody from a different race? That has changed hugely over the last 30 years, and certainly from kind of Windrush generation. So I know my grandparents' generation would have been massively hostile to a black boyfriend or girlfriend being brought home in a way which I think has by and large changed. So
when we got married, my grandma.
Sorry, Prisca, I was just going to say, so part of my concern at the moment is actually because of how feeble our stuff is, that it actually gives the space to form. It's such a difficult line because we've got to talk about it, but at the same time, what's going on can actually kind of flush the racism out. Kind of can make those tendencies strong because people react against it, and with everything that's happened, the statues being torn down and stuff, then you get a kind of people who then become more racist because they're pushing back. That's the catch-22 we seem to be in.
I was just going to say, when we got married, my grandma is South African. So when she found out that Liam was white, she was genuinely like fearful and scared for me, but mainly because of her experience of South Africa, living through all of that, and her experience of like people beating her, torture, and like being bitten. So her idea of what white people were like was from that. So she was genuinely scared. My mom, was it last year when my mom was like, I think this is the first time that she's genuinely not worried. She's like, oh, he seems like a nice guy, but she was very fearful of like, oh, what's he gonna do to you? Kind of, even when she came to our wedding, I don't think she enjoyed it one bit because she was surrounded by so many white people in her head. She was just like, oh my goodness.
I didn't even realise. As I've heard, Prisca hadn't told me this yet, that she basically thought I was one of those, like a white supremacist mentalist. So I was
going to tell you on wedding day, but I
was wondering why she was off. And I was like,
she did. She barely said anything. Yeah.
So,
but it was for her, that was her experience and what she's known, and it's taken 6 years now for her to be like, oh, okay, he's not so bad.
Break it down. That's what we do. We like to just be difficult, don't we?
I hope it's the first of many conversations.